Okay, I can breathe. It has been a long time. It has been a long time for both Dallas and Colorado in between appearances in a conference final. Game 7 between Dallas and Colorado in both on both occasions went to Dallas. Nothing quite like this. Um, I may have screamed in overtime because honestly, I was pretty darn sure that Colorado had been the better team for large portions of this game and that Colorado was going to figure out a way to get this. And what made me nervous right off the hop was, so we have Landeskog out. Colorado played very, very well considering their captain was out. Dries is in. Timmins was out. But also, Fedun and Cogliano were out. So Kiviranta comes in and Hanley comes in. To which a lot of people are probably going, who's Hanley? He's a defenseman that played a game for them last year in the playoffs. He's played, I think, 46 regular season games in the NHL. Number 7 defenseman, Biega type, that kind of guy. And they mentioned at the start that McKinnon is 0-2 in Game 7s. And I thought, well, that's not really fair to put that on McKinnon. And McKinnon was trying to extend his point streak that was at 14 games coming into today. And it's interesting because I don't think Dallas did a great job against him or of controlling that Colorado attack. I'd be lying if I said they did. But McKinnon didn't get a point today. He almost did. There were a couple of occasions where it looked like he might have touched it, but he didn't. So unless they go back and they retroactively give him an assist on a goal, yeah, McKinnon was held off the board. So O'Connor almost scored at 15 seconds. And this is where I went, oh, God. Because Hudobin looked off. He looked like he was not seeing the puck very well immediately off the initial faceoff. First minute, Rantanen takes a penalty. The Stars go to the power play. On said power play, on a rebound, it is Radulov from Pavelski and Heiskanen. And at 2:39, it is a power play goal. Radulov gets the Stars on the board. And I thought, hey, and I clapped that. And when I say I clap, I don't mean like I applaud. I mean, I clap once and we keep going. Because I know you don't. That's as close to celebrating during a game as I get, even when the camera's not on. So Hudobin looked kind of shaky, kept losing sight of the puck. So it was that Colorado would get a shot and he'd look behind him. I think he did that like 4 times in that first period. And it makes you feel a little nervous when you're watching a goaltender who's looking behind him all the time. Nemesnikov then scored from Cole and Kadri at 3:48. So it's 1:09 after Dallas gets the lead that Colorado ties it. It was a screenshot tipped through Hudobin. I didn't think Hudobin had much of a chance. I think it changed directions twice before it went through him. The shots were 10-6 in favor of Dallas at 7.5 minutes. But Burakovsky, on his own, on a fantastic shot, glove side at 9:43 makes it 2-1 for Colorado. And again, it looked like Colorado might be ready to take over this game. The Avs have some questions to answer, and I was all ready to have some questions about Dallas if this game had gone the other way, but it didn't. So for Dallas, Hanley ends up taking a penalty. The Avs go to the power play, and I felt the Avs could take over. If the Avs had scored on this power play, gone up 3-1 in the first period, I felt like that would probably be it. That they could lock it down like they did in Game 6 and just, bring it home. 2 shots on that power play, and I thought the Stars needed to tie it as soon as possible. Avs were playing well with the lead in the second half, and they had some late chances. So we go to the second period, it's 2-1 for Colorado. Early chances both ways. Hutchinson looked solid. Burakovsky takes a penalty, but during the delay, before that penalty can actually be called on Burakovsky, Kiviranta scores from Gurianov and Klingberg at 3:06. Remember, Kiviranta's in the lineup because Cogliano's out. The concern with Cogliano being out is he might be Dallas's best skater. So you're losing your best skater, a guy who's been trying to keep Nathan McKinnon under control as much as possible. And that is a daunting task. And now Kiviranta's being thrown into this situation. And it's a big ask for a player to try to take over what Cogliano does. And the nice thing was, not only does he score during the delayed penalty, but Kiviranta had drawn that penalty as well. Nieto then had a break that was denied by Hudobin. Janmark takes a penalty. The Avs go to the power play, and I put on the board, they're due. This was a power play that had struggled for a few games. And then Kadri scores from Rantanen and Burakovsky at 5:45 on said power play. And Nazem Kadri, with his 9th goal of the playoffs, makes it 3-2 in favor of the Colorado Avalanche. And there we go. Perry then takes a penalty. The Avs go back to the power play. Again, Perry a few games ago, he was drawing penalties. Now he's taking the penalties. And so this is that there's two sides to the coin with this when you're dealing with Corey Perry. Kadri hits a post. The Stars' defense, I felt, were having some issues. They were down 3-2, and there were some really prime opportunities for Colorado that they just weren't quite burying. The Stars tried to answer at the half. Hutchinson stopped Janmark. The shots favored the Avs in the second to that point and would at the end of the second as well. The Avs weren't giving the Stars very many really, really good chances. So again, we know we've got Hutchinson in net. We know we're trying to protect this guy who's our third-string goaltender. And I honestly, I thought the Avalanche did very, very well. I don't think the Avalanche have anything to hang their heads about coming out of this game. Kadri was then robbed by Hudobin. More saves by Hutchinson when the Stars got chances. And, Hudobin got better as the game went along. I didn't think Hudobin had a fantastic game. Through 2 periods, 3 goals allowed on 31 shots. And he did get better as the game went along. But there was also some of Dallas kind of bailing him out a little bit. Where if he did look a little shaky, it was fine. Dallas's attack would eventually bail him out. So we go to the third. Line shuffling by the Stars, which led to, I believe, an early edge for the Avalanche. So you're getting different line combinations out there for Dallas. They've got to get used to each other. Ben and Fox on the same line. That's pretty big and physical right there. Ben had a chance that missed wide, and I'm like, okay, this is Game 7. It's Jamie Benn. Last year against St. Louis. Let us all go back. He had a chance, and he missed an empty net, and I thought, oh boy. Come on, Jamie Benn. Let's do this. I don't want a repeat of last year. Dallas pushed it 5 minutes. They got 2 shots out of it. Radulov takes a penalty. The Avs go to the power play, and I felt that power play could put it out of reach. I did. I thought that power play, if they score, it's 4-2. Then, coming out of that power play, Radulov on the ice, he draws a penalty. So, Radulov with that penalty and him yelling and screaming about it. I was kind of thinking, I don't want that Radulov. See, there's a really good Radulov that scores goals, and then there's the one that takes all the penalties. And one can be really frustrating. The other one's really good, and he's worth every penny. So Radulov comes out and draws that penalty on Compher, which I'm going to say straight out. If you're an Avs fan saying that shouldn't have been a penalty, you're right. You're absolutely right. But I also think on that play, it felt to me like the referees were trying to even things up. And this is something we have not seen a lot of in these playoffs, where referees do the even up calls, but that's how it felt to me. That they had given Colorado numerous chances, Dallas had only had 1, and there was kind of that even up call going on. And I don't like it either. Solid penalty kill by the Avalanche. This is the odd part. The Stars couldn't set up. They didn't set it up at all until late. With 17 seconds left in that power play, however, it's Radulov from Klingberg and Benn at 11:28. So it's a tie game. And it's a power play marker. And the Stars were 2 for 2 on the power play at that point. And again, Compher wasn't happy coming out of the box. He's right. That shouldn't have been a penalty. But you do what you do. Gurianov then hits a post. The Stars were pushing, but after Gurianov hits that post, it goes the other way, and it's Nemesnikov from Compher and Zadorov at 16:20. So Compher comes out of the box and plays a role in the 4-3 goal. I will be honest, watching this game, I that kind of took the wind out of me. I went, it's 4-3. There's 3 minutes and 40 seconds left. All Colorado needs to do is, and before my brain could complete that thought, Kivi Uranta scores from Hintz and Heiskanen at 16:30. Hintz isn't on the 3 stars. He should be. I would not have probably put Hudobin in the 3 stars. I probably would have put Roope Hintz in there. Pavelski was then denied at the buzzer, and that was after Ian Cole had hit the crossbar. So there were no shortage of chances in this game. This game was really wide open, and you'll notice throughout this series, this is kind of how it works. So we go to overtime, which led me to say, yeah, of course we do. And I was wondering, okay, so how late is overtime going to go? Is it going to go so late that we're dealing with a later start for the Vancouver game against the Vegas Golden Knights? Nah, they'll get that game started on time. In the overtime, the first chance went to the Avs, and it felt like this was going to be a short overtime. It did not feel like, with the way these teams were playing defense or not playing defense, that it was going to be a very long overtime at all. Janmark, not on the Stars bench. Didn't return that I saw in the overtime. We'll see if he's able to play in Game 1 of the Western Conference Final, which I assume is on Sunday. Pavelski narrowly missed one. Stars were pushing. Dickinson had a chance as well during that push. I was really surprised the puck didn't go in, but then when it doesn't, you're like, oh man, was that our best chance? Was that it? Makar broke up a Hintz 2-on-1 effort. The Avs pushed at 5 minutes. The Stars were kind of guilty of running around a bit. And with the Avs, with the amount of skill they have, the depth they have, and with a guy like Makar on the point, it makes sense that they get you running around a bit, right? Then Hintz buzzed around 7 minutes in as the Stars were pushing. The puck goes back to the blue line. Alexiak, Sekera, and it's Kiviranta that ends it at 7 minutes and 24 seconds of overtime. And that's where my throat hurts a little, I'm not going to lie. That's where I screamed loud enough that the cat sleeping behind me, they both woke up. Cat sleeping down here, she woke up. I'm sure the cat upstairs probably jumped as well, and the kids all came running out to find out what was going on. Dallas did it. They had a 3-1 series lead. They lost it. They won it in Game 7. They now move on to see who's going to win between Vegas and Vancouver tonight. I'm very proud of what Dallas was able to do tonight and overcoming a Colorado team that, boy, were they game considering the amount of injuries they were dealing with, and their number 1 and number 2 goaltender out, their captain out. Johnson being out makes a big difference as well. This was a Colorado team that had a lot going against it coming into this game, and they very nearly moved on to the next round. Shots in this game, 15 apiece in the first period, 16-11 Colorado in the second, 9-8 Colorado in the third, and in the overtime, they were actually 4-2 Colorado. Final shots, 44-36 in favor of the Avalanche. The hits, 38-32 for Dallas. Power plays, Dallas goes 2 for 2, Colorado 1 for 4. Hudobin saves 40 out of 44. Hutchinson saved 31 out of 36. And your 3 stars are Kiviranta, Nemesnikov, and Hudobin. Again, if it was me, I would have given it to Hintz as the 3rd star, but I don't have a problem with those 3 stars as they are. So for McKinnon, he's held off the board for the first time in the playoffs, and they're out. So he has points in 14 of 15 games that he plays, and in that 15th game, they're out. So Colorado does still have some questions to ask themselves in the offseason, but in their favor, they took Dallas to 7, and they did this despite the injuries, and I still think the future's pretty darn bright for the Colorado Avalanche. So there you go. We will now wait and see what happens between Vegas and Vancouver. And, Boston, they were shunted aside by Tampa. Dallas, they made me proud. They may have broken my bracket, but couldn't be happier with it being broken as they take out Colorado. And we'll see whether or not Vancouver can do the unlikely. Do you believe in unlikelihoods, to quote Dodgeball? And today, I kind of sort of do. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. This was a great series. I only hope that the Western Conference Final can live up to this one. This was one of the best series I've watched. At some point in time, when I talk about great series, this may very well be the one from 2020 that I discuss. But again, we'll see what Philadelphia and the Islanders do. We'll see what happens with Vegas and Vancouver. There may be some other series in the running. Thank you guys so much for all your support, and do hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, because there's always hockey goodness going on. Thank you guys again. I will talk to you very soon.